Alright guys, welcome everybody back to the channel. This video here, we are going to start getting that cowl put back together. We've got a lot of painting and a lot of welding to do on some pieces, but in this video here we're going to get the heater box patched up. We're going to get the front cowl piece patched up. We're going to get it all put back on there, get it painted, so we can move on down to making our cowl piece. Been working a lot of overtime at work, and it's getting me a little behind, but we're out here working every day, grinding as much as we can. But let's get to it, guys. Let's get in there and get to work. That's all we can do. What is going on, everybody? Let's pick up here where we left off my last video. We took this piece off here and we started repairing this piece right here. We fixed all of the spot rust or rust pits and stuff in this. We spot welded those up, fixed that hole that was up in there. And now I went ahead and painted where our piece here is going to go. If you guys have been keeping up with my videos, this piece right here goes, let's see, how does it go? It goes like this. It goes like that. It welds onto this piece here. So I went ahead and fixed all of the little bit of rust that was on this piece here, as you can see. And again, we're not going for looks on these pieces, we're just going for integrity and protection. So we got all of the rust on this, and I'm literally just using a brush. Got 3 coats of primer, 3 coats of paint, and I want it on there thick for good protection. We'll eventually paint the rest of this, but right now I just wanted it where these 2 pieces are going to be mated together. Like so. So we got to weld this piece back to this piece, and then I went ahead and started cleaning out up and under here. So this is underneath the cowl. Right there's your windshield wiper arm there. And you can see back it in here where I've been getting all this cleaned out and rust treated. Let me hit my light. And you'll see some of that whitish color. That is that rust treatment, but it is dry and smooth. And we went ahead and treated all this down through here that we've been working on. So all this is basically ready to be primed and painted and then start to reassemble. This up here I need to put one more coat of rust treatment on, and the bad thing is it takes 24 hours for that stuff to dry. So in the meantime, we'll weld that piece onto that other piece. Alrighty, let's get these 2 pieces put together here. But they got to line up perfectly, because this, once it goes back on the truck, is where I'm thinking it's your hood bracket. It's been so long since I took it apart, but I'm pretty sure it's your hood bracket or it's your inner fender, but I'm almost positive it's the hood bracket. But it has to go on and pretty much be centered where it was when we took it off. Now luckily we've got the holes in it from where we drilled it off, but you can see right here, that's how it's kind of gonna go on. This is the outside of the truck underneath the hood, and you got your adjusters right here. That's what those things are. They kind of just slide around in there. You can hear them. they slide around in there and it allows you to adjust your hood. So they've got to be on here, or this piece has to be back on here pretty much dead nuts. Like I said before, all we did was, it's been treated, so backside's been treated. We primered it and then we painted it. Just some this is gloss. I ran out of my flat black, satin black. Did the same thing to this side. Not really worried about the looks. We just want this protected because you'll never see it. This piece goes on top of it, and then when it goes in the truck, it goes in there like that, and you'll never see it. So I'm not really worried about the looks of it. I just want it to be really protected. So what we're going to do to get it lined up exactly where it needs to be is we're going to put, if I quit throwing my stuff, we're going to put some nuts and bolts in it to be able to keep it where it's supposed to be. So we'll go ahead and get some of these started here. I put a couple on the ends and get it lined up. That way it'll hold it there, and then we'll come through and we'll tack it down where it lines up with the holes, right? We'll get the bolts to help us do that. All right. Let's see. I think we can go. Yeah, probably want to come through this side with it. Okay. So we want everything to be straight, and it looks like that's going to hold us. We could put one or two more in it just to make sure, and if it's kind of warped up a little bit, we can pull it tight and flatten it out with our bolts here. But it's going on pretty good. It's not too twisted up. Sometimes when you start welding on this stuff, if you're not careful, it'll your parts will kind of flex and get out of whack. But we're in pretty good shape with this. This is all the stuff you got to do in behind the scenes. Instead of putting it on, you have to take your time and let this rust stuff dry. It's got to dry for 24 hours. Then your paint's got to dry. And it just takes a couple days just to get all the product on there and get it dried before we can do anything else. But it's painted, it's on there. And what we're going to do now is let me get the rest of the bolts in, what I'm going to put in, and we'll get the welder out and we will tack it down. Because before this piece can go on the truck, we need to come back and weld up all of our holes here and across the top. Sorry, it's upside down from what I'm looking at it. We got to weld up all these holes here and then get this rest of this painted on this backside, and then it can go in the truck. Alrighty, got it all cleaned up, got it bolted down here where I want to, got some clamps on it, aluminum piece on the back. We want to weld up this first tab here. I got the clamps on it because that first tab wanted to raise up, so I got it pinched down real tight, and we're going to start on this hole right here. Back don't look too bad. Let's take it over there and grind it down and see if we got any holes in it. Alright, that looks like it's going to turn out pretty good. We'll finish cleaning it up with the hand grinder, but I think that's going to turn out good. We'll blend it all in when we get them all welded on. So let's get them all welded up here. Alright, we got those welded on there. Let's start taking our bolts out so we can weld up those holes too. Hopefully what we got welded on there is enough to hold it. It will. It won't hurt it. If we have to, we can clamp it down, but I think we're good. Not only were we using these to line it up, we was also using them to clamp it down. But I believe we're good. Alright. Well, it's not falling off. Oh no, it's back on there. Alright, well, that looks like I gotta clean up some paint inside these holes. Actually, this paint is doing good. It's not burning off as bad as I thought. And I let this dry for about 4 days, and that probably helped. But let's get these holes cleaned out here, so the weld will want to stick to them. And it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, got 5 more holes to weld up, and then we gotta grind it down and make it look halfway decent. All right, so we got those welded up there. I slid it back in the truck just to make sure it's gonna fit. There's a couple spots I'd like to touch up, but for right now, that is looking good. Yeah, there's a couple spots I'd like to touch up. But what we gotta do now is I gotta paint the back side of it. So there's our piece welded on. Let's get it out here. Alright, I got it pulled out there. So we got our piece welded on here. Got to come through and weld these holes here up. But I'm going to wait. I'm not going to weld all of them up, so we can use some of those holes to line it back up here on the truck, kind of the way we did that back piece. Alright, so that's how we're going to line it up right there. See, we stick some bolts in there and see how the holes are all lining up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come through and I'm going to Sharpie an arrow on these holes here that I need to weld in, and then we won't put an arrow on the ones that our bolts are going to go through. That way we put it back on the truck, we'll just have to weld up 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, and all these other ones will be welded up. So let's go ahead and put a Sharpie mark on the ones that we are wanting to weld up. Let's see, we'll weld up this one. See, we done welded up 2 here. The reason why we want them welded up is when we go to put it back on the truck, we can just weld this hole right here on this piece, and it'll hit this weld right here. And that way we can attach it to this piece of the truck. So we're going to weld that one. let's go through and mark our holes that we want to weld up on our panel. And we'll go ahead and weld up all these off of the truck. That way when we go to install it, we'll have a solid back to weld it back to the vehicle. It'd be hard to do that. I think with these, we'll leave these open and we'll weld this way to this piece. I gotta close this up right here. So we've got that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. We need to weld up these three. So maybe we'll just do this. And we'll say 2. This one. We'll go 1 out. Side left. Maybe I can remember that. And then up here, we'll say 2. And with this outside left, keep. No, weld. All right. So that should be good. We got all of our holes marked here. We're going to weld this outside left one here, and then weld these two and on down. So let's pull it out and get that going. We got our holes welded up here. We left the ones that we need. Take it up here to grinder and grind them down. I didn't need to put all that glob on there, but when I drilled this part out, I used a bigger drill bit, so took a little bit more weld to fill them holes up. Let's go over there and get it cleaned up, because we got to get the back of this primered and painted. Alright, let's see what we got here. So we're getting our holes welded up there. Smoothed up. Go over it a time or two more, but I think we are getting there. Now again, we're going to leave them a little thick on the back here. Give us a little meat on the bone. But all in all, I think we're getting pretty close. So I'm going to clean them up just a hair more. And then we are going to go ahead and start putting the first coat of primer on the back of this. I think we're good. That piece is welded on. It's good. Getting our holes welded up. Now remember, we'll use our bolts. We'll use these holes here to line our part back up with. Then we get it on the truck. We'll come through and weld it to the truck. And then we'll have to come back through and weld up the holes that are left. But for right now, I think we're good. Alrighty. Got our first coat of primer on there. It went on really good. I'll get this other side here. I gotta clean up a little bit right down through there. But on the front side and everything I got now, it'll have to have 2 or 3 more coats. And I still got to get up and in there. The reason why I didn't get up in there is because I've got to fix that spot right there. So I'm going to have to weld that up. You can see it from underneath here. It's right there where that hook is, right up there. So I'll have to fix that. But that's okay. We need to go ahead and start getting it on here. I'm getting behind schedule. It's going on good. It'll lay down good and smooth. Alrighty. Got our second coat of primer on here. It is coming out good. So now what we got to do is go ahead and put our primer on our piece right here. So let's get started on that. Alrighty. Got our first coat on there. It is looking pretty good. Did around the front edge. So let's hang this up and let it dry. But our first coat is on there. Trying to make sure I got everything. Oh yeah, that'll look good. Alright, let's hang it up and let it dry. There we go. So the second coat of primer is on there. It is turning out good. What we're going to do now is we're going to weld up this little spot right here. So this is the cowl of the truck, and this is the only spot we've got one tiny little rust spot right there. So we are going to weld it. Now I got our piece of aluminum back underneath here. And let's weld this up here and grind it down smooth so we can get rid of that little bitty spot. There's a pit on the other side, the size of that right there. So we're going to melt that out and replace it with some new metal, hopefully. So there we go. Got a nice little weld on there. We should be able to grind down. Flush there. I hope I can find it. There it is. Yep. And then from underneath here, okay. So that looks pretty good right there. So we'll grind that down and see what we got. Alright, we got that ground down there. And our spot is gone. We got it filled up. I did one spot right here too. I didn't like that spot. So we got the cowl fixed, welded back up there. There's the other spot. So I did that spot there and that one right there. And then we've went ahead and put 2 coats of black on our part. It's hanging here drying, which pretty much dry now. And it has come out good. So that part there is done. We can get it back on the truck here in a second. And then I went ahead and started putting our first coat of black. Get a light here. Got it up and in there. We went ahead and got all this. So all that back up in there is good. Now over here, I'm going to leave this area blank. I'll have to sand off some of this back here. We want to leave this. This is treated with the rust protected, but we got to leave it bare metal so we can put our glue on our patch. So I'm not going to paint this here. But everything else we have got buttoned up there, getting everything ready to cut that light off so we can see. But it is looking good. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to start fixing up on our box here. I want to weld up this area here, clean up some of this because this box is still good. I just want to get some areas cleaned up. So let's get started on that. Alrighty. Got the parts that I was going to welded up. Got that piece looking a lot better. Okay, now I cut a piece out of the top here. That was the worst part of it. And I went ahead, let me set this down here. Went ahead and got us a scrap piece of metal out of my pile right here. And I cut us a small piece. And we're going to go ahead and get it trimmed in to fit here. Got to get it all cleaned up, but we're going to clamp it down and shape it and get it welded on and get this job, try to get it buttoned up here. But everything's turning out good. Got the second coat on that. And I'm happy with it. So let's get that little piece right there trimmed in and get it welded on. Alright, let's get it cleaned up and get it looking a lot better. All right, we got our piece cut out here. Got it close enough. So now what we're going to do is get it welded onto our old piece that we cut out here. So let's go ahead and do that. Alrighty, we got her clamped on there. We'll actually go like that. So let's get this piece welded on. That way we can start painting this box here. Alrighty. So we got our piece welded on there. That'll do for right now. We'll clean it up a little bit more. But right now, I have went ahead and we have got our piece bolted on there. So let's go ahead and finish this job up here and weld our piece on there. We got it painted all over, 2 coats of primer and paint. And we got it bolted in place. All my holes are lining up. Let's go ahead and get that thing welded on there and call this job finished. Alrighty. So we done got the paint and stuff cleaned out of the holes that we need to weld. Went through and cleaned all the paint out. I got to get it right here still, but we're going to go ahead and get it put on real quick. But where we painted it, you got to clean out the paint out of your holes. So let's go ahead and start getting this thing put back on the truck.
Raised in the rust, built tough as nails, where the wind cut sharp and the weak boys bail. I felt the dirt, I've tasted steel, but I ain't never bowed and I never will. Got a backbone carved out of red clay pride, and a fire that don't quit when it's tested or tried. You can bet your last dime and your name on a stone. This fighting heart don't break, it owns. I was built for this, for the blood and sweat, for the long shot odds and the no-name bet, for the nights that burn and the mornings rough, for the pain that pounds but ain't ever enough. Yeah, I'm cut from the grit, from the hammer and hiss. You can't stop what was born for the risk. I'm not just standing, I exist, 'cause I was built for this.
Got that piece welded on. Now we gotta get to grinding it off, cleaning it up. It is looking good in there. Everything is painted, and I went ahead and put 2 coats of primer and 2 coats of paint on our heater box. There's our flange piece we welded on there. Everything is looking good. So we'll be able to start assembling this thing. Let's get them welds ground off. Alrighty. We got that thing welded on there finally. We are doing good. May have to come back and touch up a couple spots, but as of right now, I think we are doing okay. And we got the inside of our box here painted. So we'll be able to put that on here in a little while. But we have got the cowl put back together, and we will be able to start working on making our piece right here. And then we can jump down and weld our box on, and the cowl area will be done. Finally. But all in all, there it is. Turned out really good. Got it all protected back there. So hopefully it'll last many more years. Well guys, there we have it. I'm glad to have that job there done. Took a little bit of time getting all that rust treated, primered and painted, multiple coats, a lot of welding and a lot of grinding. But I know if I can get out here and do it, you guys can too. Ain't nothing too hard about none of it. I tell you what, I've only had 4 days off this month. Been working a lot of overtime at work. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the times are changing, I hope so. But guys, we got this here done. Now with that done and painted back in there, and all that rust took care of, now we can jump over on our next video and start making this piece that goes right here. Get that made. We got to get it rust treated on the back, painted, primered, get it welded on, and then we can put our box on, and this side of the truck will be done for all that. Had to do the same thing over there on the passenger side. But guys, I appreciate you watching. Everybody following along. It really does mean a lot. Keeps me motivated. Keeps me coming out here and working on this thing. So I tell you what, some days you feel like you get in over your head. But you just keep going, keep trying. It'll work itself out. Anyhow, guys, tune into my next video. We button this project up here on the cowl part. Like always, my name's Stacy over at Dirt Corridor Raw 79, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.